ghost song, and today I will be reading to you from Beneath the Surface by Unnamed Untold. Before we get on to this next chapter, I'm going to read out the warnings again. Depression, suicidal thoughts, suicide attempt, anorexia, bulimia, and vulgar language, which I'm pretty sure y'all know. I don't hold back from. Y'all hear it anyway. Anyway, on to Chapter 6, Day 8. I rushed around the house to make sure that the cats had everything they needed. A full food bowl, fresh water, and clean litter box. I left a few treats scattered across the house for Hero to find. It makes her think she's hunting, and it boosts her ego a little bit. Once the cats were all situated, I grabbed my jacket and headed out to the car. There, Ivan sat in the front seat for the first time this trip. "You sure you know the way to town? I can drive, you know," I asked him as I slid into the front seat. "Da, I have been there enough times now. Besides, I doubt that you'll let us get lost." He rolled his eyes as he started to back up the car. "I suppose so. Watch out for that rabbit!" I shouted as he braked. "Alfred, I saw. I know how to drive." He huffed in annoyance. He waited for the bunny to move out of the way for a long while, but it stayed put. "Why won't it move?" "I don't know. Maybe it's scared. Hold on," I said, getting out of the car. I walked up to the little brown rabbit. Poor little thing looked scared stiff. I gently picked the little ball of fluff up and gave it a quick cuddle and some kisses. It calmed down enough to sniff at me, making its whiskers tickle my neck. I giggled and placed them down on the grass with the others of its kind. I walked back to the car and slid back in my seat. "All right, we can go now," I told him. "I had forgotten you had this way with animals. No one else I have ever met can do what you just did. How were you able to do it?" he asked as he pulled out to the road. "I don't know. I've always been able to do it. Can walk up to any animal and they'll just let me. I guess they just like me." I smiled softly. "I can see why. You're so gentle and caring. I think they can sense that in you," he said with a soft look on his face. I blushed and ducked my head. A small smile made its way onto my face. To cover up my embarrassment, I turned on the radio. An upbeat song played, and I started to dance in my seat, or at least the best I could do in a seat. The whole drive to the fair, I listened to the radio and danced to the songs. Occasionally, I would nudge Ivan with my shoulder to get him to join, but he would shake his head instead. Parking for the fair sucked worse this time, since it was later at night, and that's when people love to go. It was cool out, and the lights shone so beautifully. When we finally found a parking spot, I was jumping in my seat. I was so excited. "Are you on cocaine, Alfred?" Vanya asked me when we exited the car. "No, why?" I asked him. I walked right up to his side. "Why are you so excited then? Surely you've gone to fairs before?" he inquired. I calmed down a little after that. "Well, yeah. When they first came to my country, I would go to them all the time, especially when I went to them in the early 1900s. It was just that I haven't been to one in a long time, and I haven't had anyone come with me in an even longer time," I told him sadly. I just got excited that I would be going to one with a friend. They're always so much more fun when you have someone to go with. "How come?" he asked confusedly. "Surely you could do all the same things without the comrade." "Well, yeah, you can do all the same things. It's just better with someone. You can talk to them and laugh together. You can help each other out on spinning rides and make them go faster. You can hold each other's hand when you're on a scary ride. Not that I get scared, that is." I blushed and laughed nervously. "Of course not, Frederica," he said with a chuckle. We had reached the line to get tickets or bracelets. "It's more fun when you can enjoy it with someone you like," I finished. Who was the last person who took you? He looked at me curiously. My brother, Matty. That was before he got mad at me, I said, rubbing my arm. He's been mad at me for the last few years. We mostly only talk for business. What happened, if you don't mind me asking? I got so busy at one point that I completely forgot all about him, unless I needed him for something for my work. To be fair, I forgot about everyone at that time. I forgot about his birthday, but I also forgot about mine. But still, he came to my house 4 days after my birthday and yelled at me. I was in such a shock that I couldn't say anything at first. I just took his verbal assault. When he was done, I tried apologizing a bit, but he hit me instead and stormed out. He hasn't really talked to me outside of work since. I told him. A few tears pricked at my eyes from the memory. I refused to let them fall in front of the older nation, though. I didn't mean to forget. I was just so overwhelmed with things that I needed to get done. It just slipped my mind. I forgot about so many things, and all the other nations got mad at me, too. I was just so overwhelmed. I buried my face in my hand. I felt Ivan take my hand and lead me somewhere. We had gotten bracelets, so it didn't matter much to me. I was only a little surprised when he led me to an empty table. I sat down and he disappeared. I sat there for a while until he came back. I didn't expect him to put a small ice cream in my hands. I looked up at him, confused. You looked like you needed one. It may have been a few years since we have been friends, but I still know how to make you feel better. He smiled at me. I smiled back and blushed a little. I took a bite out of the creamy treat and hummed happily. Sorry I've been such an emotional roller coaster these past few days. I'm not really sure what's wrong. You're still young, a 19-year-old teenager, in fact. It's all those hormones swinging around in your body and head. They are what cause your outbursts and temper tantrums. When you get older, your hormones will settle and it will make things a lot easier for you. Trust me, I know, he said reassuringly. I suppose so. I just don't know what to do about it, I told him tiredly. Not much that can be done. You need to let nature take its course. Soon it will be over. It does not help that you have no outlets or someone who can help you constantly. I will do my best, but once this month is over, I cannot be here all the time, he said regretfully. Hey, I survived my entire childhood without someone to parent me. I think I can handle this, I growled playfully. Just because you do not need help, little one, does not mean you should reject it when it comes. It can make things easier for you if you accept it. It is not weakness to accept help when needed, he lectured me softly. Yeah, I guess, I said as I finished my ice cream. Come on, we came here to have fun. I know the perfect ride to start with. After throwing away the empty dish, I grabbed his hand to drag him to one of my favorite rides. It was a ride that had its seats lined up, sat up at an angle, and spun around really fast. It was kind of like the spaceship one, only we stayed on the ground. We showed the man our bracelets and picked out a cart. I need to sit on the inside since I'm both lighter and smaller. This ride makes us go about 1G, and I do not want to get crushed, I told him as I slipped into the inside seat. And what does that mean, Mishka? It means you're heavier than me. I don't weigh as much as everyone else thinks I do, I told him. Don't lie to yourself, fat ass. You're still too fat for anyone to like you. And don't get me started about the last couple days. You've eaten nothing but fattening food. I don't know why Russia even bothers to be nice. Probably pities you. I frowned as the voice pointed out my weight again. And it was right. I have been eating too much these last couple days. I have to get rid of all the weight when I get home. Frederica, are you okay? Why are you frowning? He asked me, concerned. Sorry about that, I just got lost in thought. I waved him off. Just then, the ride jolted. Ooh, it's about to start. You don't get sick very easily, do you? Before he could answer, the ride started going forward very fast. I smiled brightly and threw my hands up. As the ride went faster, I could feel my body slide across the seat until I pressed right against the larger man. I laughed loudly in joy, but the Russian didn't seem to share my enthusiasm. Instead, he held onto the bar that kept us in place, like a lifeline. I look up at his face and see that his lips are pressed into a line. When the ride slowed to a stop, he let out a breath, but his relaxed stance didn't last very long as the ride started going backwards. I let out a woohoo as it did. My heart beated in excitement as the air whipped around my body. All too soon, for me, the ride ended and we had to get out. Ivan sped walked off the platform while I followed behind, much more slowly. I was still laughing when I caught up to him. He looked a little tense, so I stopped laughing and looked at him in concern. "Hey, are you okay?" I asked him softly and put a hand out onto his shoulder. "Da, I'm fine. I just did not expect it to go so fast. I felt like I was about to be flung out at any moment," he said shakily. "Sorry, I guess I should have warned you that most of the rides here go pretty fast. Do you want to sit down before we go on another one?" I asked him gently. "Niet, I am okay. The ride was fun though," he said with a small smile. "Yeah, it was pretty fun, huh? It's one of my favorites. Come on, there are so many rides to do," I shouted in excitement as I grabbed his hand and dragged him off. We went on about just every ride there. One was a spaceship style that you went inside. It pressed you against the wall since it went a little more than 1G. Some people were able to sit cross-legged on the walls, which was cool. Ivan ended up a little green after it and almost threw up. Another one was one where we went inside a giant dog. It had a wheel that let you control how fast it spun. I might have gone so fast that we didn't even know the ride had ended until the person shouted up at us. I apologized, but he waved it off with a grin. We went on a roller coaster, then a paragliding-like one. He seemed to like that one the best. It was way more tame than the others. Then we went on one that went up in the air and dropped. I did not scream loudly when it dropped both of us. Neither did I grab Ivan's hand in panic or shut my eyes in fear. And he did not have to gently coax me out and to let go of the harness when the ride ended. If he tells you otherwise, then he lies. After that one, we decided to hold off on going on another ride for a while, so we walked around the games for a little bit and talked. We were discussing the likelihood of colonizing Mars anytime soon when I saw a giant stuffed rabbit at one of the games. It had a white body and brown ears, and was real looking except its big size. It was super cute looking. "Do you want the rabbit, Frederica?" Ivan asked when he looked to see what got my attention. "Kinda, but I can't do these games," I said sadly. "How come?" he asked, surprised. I didn't blame him, since it should be easy for me to do a game like this. "I sometimes have a hard time controlling my strength and hurt people. These stall walls are just fabric and plywood. If the ball goes through and hits someone," I started sadly, "I could really hurt them, if not worse." "Then I will get the rabbit for you," he said as he walked up to the man running the stall. "What? You don't have to. It's nice, but I don't need it," I told him, a little flustered. I grabbed his arm to stop him so he'll listen to me. "Niet, you were kind enough to get me and Lampushka sunflower necklaces, so I will get you the rabbit you so desire." He continued his march to the stall with me in tow. He paid the man for a ball and took aim. In one quick motion, he threw the ball at the stacked wooden cups and knocked all three down. The ball bounced off the back of the fabric wall and rolled down. I stared in awe as the ball didn't go through. "Congratulations, you can pick any stuffed animal you want," the man said with a grin. "The rabbit with brown ears, please," he told the man. "Let me guess, this is for your date," he said, looking at me while handing him the stuffed animal. "Oh, we're not on a date." I started out nervously as Ivan handed me the rabbit. "Yet we are not," Ivan agreed just as nervously. "Right, and I don't own a game stand in a fair. I can tell you two care a lot for each other. A lot more than you both think. I've been watching you two run back and forth all evening. I'll tell you two a little secret. In, say, 5 minutes, the fair is going to have a surprise fireworks show. It would look mighty fine on that there Ferris wheel," he said, pointing to the ride. Thanks for the tip." I started out. My face felt on fire from how badly I was blushing. We hurried away from the stall and avoided eye contact with each other. I kept my face hidden in the rabbit, and Ivan looked to the side. I noticed that we were walking in the direction of the Ferris wheel, but didn't say anything. It took me a moment, but I eventually worked up the courage to say something. "Thank you for getting me the rabbit. It means a lot to me," I said, my blush getting deeper. I saw that his did too. "Пожалуйста," he responded shyly. "That means you're welcome." "So, wanna go see the fireworks show from the wheel?" I asked him. That might be pretty," he said as we picked up the pace. "We can see it better from up there too, with no trees or rides blocking the view," I added. Within a few minutes, we were seated on the ride. He sat on one side and I sat on the other. I held the rabbit tightly in my arms as we waited. We didn't have to wait too long either. By the time we had gotten to the top, the first firework had gone off. I looked at it in joy as more went off. All the bright colors on the Ferris wheel at night, to be almost completely secluded with only one other person, and the moon. I may not be France, but even I knew it was kind of romantic. It is probably one of the most cheesy things too. I love fireworks. They're so bright and colorful and really pretty. Don't you think so, Ivan? I asked, turning to him, to see him already looking at me. I took in a slight gasp at the intensity in his eyes. It wasn't challenging like usual, though. He looked me in the eyes. "Yes, very beautiful. They're so bright and colorful. Nothing quite like them." I blushed and looked down shyly with a smile. My attention was caught by the fireworks again. We enjoyed the show in silence for a few more moments. It was nice and peaceful. "Frederica, I want to say that, I heard him start saying something." "Yes, what is it?" I asked him in a reassuring tone. "That He sighed loudly in defeat. "Never mind, it's not important." "You sure?" I asked him as the ride came to an end. I wanted to know what was on his mind. "Da, come on. We need to make room for next person," he said, getting up and out quickly. "Yeah," I said, a bit disappointed. I'm not sure why, though. I felt like something else almost happened on that ride, but I'm not sure what. "So, any other rides you want to go on?" he asked after we walked for a bit. Instead of answering right away, I yawned. "I actually think it's about time that we go. We still have an hour to drive home, so it'll be past midnight when we get back. Can't have you falling asleep at the wheel now, can we?" I said teasingly, while playfully bumping him with my hip. "Yet we cannot," he agreed, giving me a playful shove with his shoulder. The drive back to the house was uneventful. I fell asleep against the door for about half of it until we parked. That's when I woke up. When we got inside, we said goodnight and went our separate ways. I gently placed the rabbit next to the cats on the bed, who woke up slightly. I gave them each a scratch on the head before going into the bathroom. I closed the door and walked in front of the toilet. I opened the lid and shoved my fingers down my throat with the other. Within seconds, I was throwing up chunks of food. I noticed that there was more than usual, too. I stuck my fingers in my throat just as I hear the door open. Alfred, what are you doing? I heard Ivan shout. I couldn't say anything since I was throwing up another round of the vile liquid. I felt him kneel next to me and rub my back soothingly. He was gentle and patient while I unloaded my stomach. After I was done throwing up, I felt him pull me up and pull me to my room. I blindly let him drag me to wherever. I felt numb inside. It feels like everything just came crashing down. Every illusion and lie, everything I did to keep my secret. He caught me. I can't believe he caught me, were the only thoughts that went through my head as he sat down on my bed. I didn't look at him in the eyes after I felt a few tears roll down my cheeks. I briefly looked at the clock to see it was 12:27. Alfred, why would you do this? He asked me again. I stayed quiet. We will sit right here all night if needed. I will know. And that is one hell of a way to end a chapter. Anyway, I'm gonna admit, I had to admit quite a few bloopers because they happened during, a serious scene. One of them was funny. It was where I just went, what the fuck? And buried my head into my pillow and started making alarm noises. I took it out because that was a direct response to one of the scenes, because that is something that has happened to me and it's very triggering. I forgot how triggering this stuff can be to read out loud. Well, you know darn well I won't be touching any books that have SA with a 10-foot pole. You'll laugh at your pain to live. Anyway, that's the end of this chapter, and I will see you tomorrow. That being said, have a great rest of your day, night, or whatever it is for you. Also, join the Discord. It's linked down in the description below.